people went May 25, and that's it. No others. After May
That
25.
is very interesting to know. I don't know why and who is taking care of that, who's handling that, but I will I'll ask Sister Maya. What we're doing right now is that we started 3 months ago, and this Friday will be the fourth class. What we do after Isha from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, we have the class downstairs. The one in May was during Ramadan. So this was being done every evening in Ramadan. And it was really compressed. Even though we had time, we couldn't deliver on each item. So now what we're doing after Isha on the third Friday of the month is to stretch it out and to put more material in it to the community. So inshallah, you can join that, and let me find out where the last 3 months of Friday classes where they went online. I'll find out for that too, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah.
So we already discussed. Basically, we're walking through the Old Testament and the New Testament. In the New Testament, we went through seeing if Jesus is God. Then went to the Old Testament in part 2 and seeing is God Jesus. And the third one, we went into the timeline of humans' existence on this earth. And we talked about from the time of Rasulullah Sallallahu till the 1900s, where the time went. And inshallah, what we're doing now is this week we're going to be talking, inshallah, about the life of Isa alayhi salam. Because if you understand his demeanor, his life, his ways, that's important to know for when he returns, he's going to be the same human being. So what were the qualities that are distinct in him that we can learn about? So inshallah, if we were to see him, we'll recognize him, is what we're going to be talking about inshallah this Friday. So I apologize that you cannot access it on YouTube. I really don't know what's going on, and so I'll find out inshallah.
Would you please help us?
Yeah.
I don't know who should take response, but I see which.
I myself, I've been contacted by 2 different people when it comes to uploading things. Like they tell me what's the title of this khatara or something, and I let them know. But I'll ask Sister Maya inshallah after Dhuhr and see if we could pinpoint. Yeah, inshallah.
4 months.
Inshallah. Yeah, inshallah. That's great. Any other questions?
I just
Anyone?
one quick
Yes.
question. About the confusion last week we were talking about that would be confused, and so I was wondering what would be the best dua so we can always do it, and so we don't get confused in our dini affairs or worldly affairs.
So basically, there is no short fix to this big problem, and there is no shortcut to getting to the into the protection of Allah. This requires a commitment from all of us. So people always ask for du'as. Du'as are not effective at all unless the ibadah is what it follows. See, we do salah. Before salah, we do wudu. Before that, or between that, we go to a masjid, for example. Whatever we do, all these ibadat, acts of worship, lead up to making the dua after prayer stronger and authentic. If a person doesn't want to pray, but they want to do dua, it's like using a toothpick, but you never ate food. People use a toothpick after food because there's food in their teeth, but you're just going to use it thinking that I'm doing something constructive, but you didn't eat before it. What's the use of using a toothpick? So we're in a time now, if we don't stay firm on the basics of our deen and grow those basics, and then make dua from Allah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we cannot assume that we're going to see the results. So giving you another thing, the Prophet ﷺ told us about Surah Kahf. We have to read Surah Kahf. There's no ifs and buts now, because if we don't recite it, we can't expect the results of it in its absence. We have to do this. So this is a time where we have to take initiative on ourselves to do more than what we were doing, to go out of our comfort zone, to consider every day of the week and the month and the year as a Ramadan. And if that's what is needed for my mental state to change, to be more serious in my deen, then let it be. Think it's Ramadan today. And so that will make it easy for you to fast on Monday and Thursdays. I think it's Ramadan. It'll make it easy for you to pick up the Quran and read it. Because if we're not inspiring ourselves to do it, there's only so much that can be done. And we have to take the initiative ourselves. So, yeah. Inshallah. Anyone else, inshallah? We're all good? So, bismillah. Yes. You're good?
I was wondering whether you can take this
class start at 12:15 or something? That way it can be finished by 1:45 or something, then we can go pray Dhuhr.
Sure, we could.
Sunnah or something.
So I just came from downtown. I got in the car park at 12:30. So
Not every.
our meetings in the morning usually go around this time. Finish. Alhamdulillah, our meeting finished early today, around 11:40. So by the time I got out, I got here in time. I think 12:30 is good. Just want to make sure that we started on 12:30, inshallah. But even if we start late, I think even the hour-long and hour 15-minute long session itself is really productive itself. So
Like
inshallah.
1:45 you can finish or something.
Sure,
And then
try, so we could go per sunnah. Yeah,
Sunnah,
yeah, it's true. No,
Because
for
I
sure.
don't want to rush
I
things
know.
over there and I
What
don't
happens
know
is
even
that-
what I'm reading.
Yes, I agree with you. No time to make wudu, no time to pray sunnah. So yes, I agree with you on that one. Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Okay then everyone, then Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's continue with this journey about a woman and her own self. And in respect to that is we're talking about spirituality. We talked about how she keeps her soul, how she continues to perform acts of worship and keeps her soul purified through it. Another aspect of ensuring that our soul is pure is who we are around. The people that we become part of, the circles, the circles of life, the circles of socializing, it then leads to our circle of thought. It leads to how we dress. It leads to how we act. It leads to how we do what we do and watch or listen to what we do. Your circles, your friendships, your companions speak a lot about who you are. And so one of the things we talk about in our holistic class in Surah A'raf is that the blind concept in our Islam that because these people are Muslims or these people wear hijab or because these people are from my same ethnic background or they're from the same town that I come from, then we should all be just one good circle. And that is what kind of led to the formation of all the associations we have in America. We have the Muslim Indian Association, the Pakistani Association, the Bangladeshi Association, the Arab Association, Arab Muslims of America. But the thing is that what is the underlying goal of these associations? Are we struggling right now in America to uphold a culture, a dress, a style of music, a type of food? This shouldn't be where our energy should go. Because at the end of the day, that blind, and let's take aside all these associations, I just brought them in, let's put them aside now. But if I was just to make circles, because these people come to the masjid, or they're my neighbors, or they're from my ethnic background, whatever the case was, if you just make those circles assuming that they're good circles, then that's a fault on your part. Because a circle, just because someone's religious and someone's wearing hijab and someone is mashallah coming to the masjid, does not denote that they are good people to be around. Many a times our own children go wrong because of the same Muslim children that we make them hang around. They're the same ones who introduce them to drugs and bad things. They don't have to. So this blind thing we have, oh, non-Muslims or not my culture, not my way, they're all like wrong. And these people, hands down, they're good. No, your hands should be in the middle. You shouldn't be crying foul if it's a non-Muslim, and you should not like, I don't care because they're a Muslim. You have to be very careful to make sure that the people you're hanging around and that your children are hanging around are people that will help them grow and be better, not to become worse in who you are and to derail from your purpose. So now what you can do for that is when you go to people's houses or you hang around people, I want you to keep a log of how you feel after you leave them or they leave you. How do you feel that moment? Do you feel good or bad? If you feel good, was that due to an external pleasure that you had food, you watched a movie, or was it because of an internal sense of gratification? Did they spiritually uplift you or did they spiritually put you down? Because at the end of the day, we can go anywhere in America, right? There's no one stopping us. You can go anywhere. The question is, what is that anywhere making me into? And then according to that, you pick and choose your friendships, because Surah Araf tells us that on the day of judgment, there's going to be people stuck in the middle. So if this is Jannah and this is Jahannam, there's people standing in the middle. They're stuck because their deeds were such that they couldn't go this way and they didn't end up this way. And while they're standing there, they will recognize people who are in hell and people who are in heaven. These are people that they knew in their life. And like, we know you and we know you too. What just happened here? This concept that, oh, everyone who's a Muslim and they're going to all go paradise. No. I know you and I know you guys too. And I would say, Allah protect us from these people and Allah make us amongst those people. And the people who are in hell will say, what did your faith and what did your practice do for you? There are Muslims who actually take our Islam away from us. The ones who belittle their religion, who indulge us in backbiting and in slandering and accusation and idle talk. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَيَتَّخِذُهَا هُزُوًا. There's a people who indulge in لَهْوَ الْحَدِيث. لَهْوَ الْحَدِيث means vain talk. All this America's vain talk, Entertainment Tonight and People's Magazine, it's all vain talk. What she's wearing, what she's doing. Oh, Harry and his wife want to leave the royal family. Oh my God, they're talking about it. Meghan called in from Canada. She wasn't sitting with the queen. It's vain talk. What is it doing for you? What has it done for you? Are you part of the royal family? Is Meghan going to Disney going to be a big thing for you? Like, what's going on? But this becomes talk. This becomes thought. This becomes worry. This becomes concern. Then we put our time, energy, resources towards it. This is called, Allah says, those who purchase this lahwul hadith, this waste of time. It's not benefiting you. If it was a question on a day of judgment, I'd buy all of People magazine and sit there and read it and study it. But it's not going to. If other people's lives are more important for you to talk about than you talking about your own life, there's a problem right there. And that problem is created by the people you hang around. And I don't mean that you have to now have friendship circles which are super strict, that you go into the house and all you're doing is praying namaz and taking a bite in between two rakats type of thing. No, it's a matter of where you feel that your social needs are met, your spiritual needs are not compromised. Write this down. Where my social needs are met, but my spiritual needs are not compromised. Your social needs are, we need to meet with people, we need to mingle, we need to eat, we need to have fun. Social needs should be met in a halal way, but the spiritual needs are not compromised. What are the spiritual needs? That prayer wasn't done, or prayer is done, but it was just done as a customary, or prayer was done properly, but then when you talked about other people, met, but my spiritual needs are not compromised. You could be in the masjid and sit here and constantly gain sin. You could be sitting in the masjid gaining sin, like it's just going to be pouring on you. So the thing is that, how do you feel after you get up from the people you associate with? If you're not feeling good, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling agitated, if you're feeling like you need to fight with someone over something, if you're feeling that this wasn't the right thing and where you're going now is not good, or you were in a better situation, now you have to go home to a worse situation, you need to reconsider your friendship circles, because it's a do or die for us on the day of judgment. So the author, going back to what he's writing, he states she keeps company with righteous people and joins religious gatherings. Now, I know people take the context of religious gatherings being all about Quran, Hadith. No, a religious gathering is where religion is upheld. How's that? Religion is upheld, where you don't have to compromise your religion. So if it's time for namaz, everyone's praying. And if it's about separation, everyone is sitting in their respective spots, where the discussions are kosher, basically. Where religious gatherings doesn't have to always mean a masjid or a halaqah. Just want to keep that there. But that also is part of religious gatherings. In order to attain this high status, the Muslim woman chooses, remember the word, chooses. You choose righteous, Allah-fearing friends who will be true friends and offer sincere advice, and will not betray her in word or deed. You know, the best friend you need to have is the one who could tell you in your face that you're doing something wrong.
Nobody does, Nobody does these things.
Yeah, because
Even
they
if you
feel...
want to, they won't.
And the thing is that when we've created this system where we want self-praise, we want acknowledgement, it has become so much harder even for a parent to tell a child that they're doing something wrong.
Yes.
Right? You can't even tell your child something because you fear that you're going to become in the bad books of your child. But a true friend is the one who can stand up and say to you, because remember, if what they're feeling is what they're saying to you, is better that they say it to you than what they feel they say behind your back to others. A true friend is if they could come and say, look, sister, with all respect, you're my sister and I love you for the sake of Allah, but guess what? You're doing this wrong. And she's not calling you out in front of everyone. You should respect that person because no one is paying her to help you. No one. She's getting no benefit for this, but she's doing it because she cares for you. That's better than someone who's always smiled in front but stabbing you on your back the second you turn.
But not in front of other people.
No, of course, because the way the
Because
friendship,
sometimes it happens.
yeah, that's wrong. That's what I said. If they're calling you out in front of people, they don't have respect for you, and they may not have respect for themselves. And if they're calling you out in your absence, they don't have respect for you. So you'd rather have them call you out in your face in a way that you'll understand. Look, a person may not use the right words, but their heart will be in the right place, and you'll feel that.
Yeah.
You may not like what they said, but you'll be like, you know what? It came
Yeah,
from a
right.
genuine place. It came from a right place. But if they're saying it in a nice way with a lawyer letter, but they're basically saying it with an evil heart, you know, it's derogatory, it's mean what they're trying to say to you. But at the end of the day, this is so important because our society, especially here in Dallas, it all revolves around social gatherings and social connections. And it's like, why am I going to all these places and why am I doing all these things? What is the benefit? Because at the end of the day, life is yours, the time is yours. Why don't you consider using your time wisely? I'm not saying tell everyone no. I'm just saying balance between social life, personal life, and public life. There has to be a balance. If there's no balance, then it's all gonna go to an extreme. Islam believes a lot in the harms of extremism. It believes in the harms of religious extremism, spiritual extremism, physical extremism. Any type of extremism, Islam calls it out. If I'm gonna be sitting here in the masjid all day, Islam does not approve that. Islam says on day of Jummah, the day of our holy day, get out. فَإِذَا قُضِيَتِ الصَّلَاةِ, namaz is done, get out. Don't sit here. Go. Why? Because you've done your spiritual thing. Now go do your physical thing. Go do your social thing. This is our religion, so beautiful and balanced. So we have to remember, because in our society this means a lot, we need to be careful of who we become a part of. And instead of keeping our hands up like, no, non-Muslims are bad, and saying, oh, that Muslims are all good, keep your hands in the middle. Be very careful. Gauge who and who not. And it's not disrespectful if you are protecting yourself and your family from a greater harm, that you abstain from being part of people and having them feel that, oh, why isn't this person joining us today? Than to just join with them to keep their hearts happy and to compromise your hearts in return. You cannot compromise your heart for anyone because the heart belongs to Allah. In its due time, we give the heart back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I got a question. The family members, like cousins and extended family like that, if you keep even with that, wholehearted sincerity, you say something, it becomes a big fight and stuff like that in the family. So you take that chance of breaking the kinship, like a family member relationships.
And that again goes to the point that nowadays no one will say good. Even a parent can't say good to the child. And so in the families, it's become such a toxic thing that how dare you even call this out? And even if you do it after a long time, they'll say that all this time you've kept it in your head. It's a bad situation. And that's why I said a friend, an outsider who has the ability to call you out on something should be respected for that, especially when it's coming from a genuine place, because not even a family could tell a family member without causing divide in the family. So if there is such a state where a certain situation arises it does become your obligation to get the message across because you care for a person. How you do it, we talked about it, I think last year, the 5 steps is that you get in there, you become comfortable with them. If it was an outsider, but this is a family member. Number 2 is you give them a gift. Number 3, you make dua for them. Number 4, you give a sadaqah to them for them on their name. And then you go and talk to them. And after that talk, you make very clear that, look, this is a concern and we are family, and it's only out of the love of our family and you that I'm telling you this. If they take it bad, you're not obliged to carry that burden of how they react to it. Your responsibility is to tell them, but at the same time, how we tell them is very important, because a lot of people say, say the truth even if it's bitter, but they don't take the hadith into context of what that means, and they'll be out there shouting on the top of their lungs, "Oh, your sister, your hijab is wrong. You're going to Jahannam and stuff." That's not the way our Islam was. The Prophet ﷺ didn't do that, right? Saying the truth, even if it's bitter, means saying the truth, not allowing the truth to slide. And it's going to be the hardest thing for you to say to that person because of your connection. It's going to be bitter for you, not bitter for them to hear. It's bitter for you to say it. But you're going to put yourself in an uncomfortable position because you care about them. That's really what has to happen. And so it's important that we uphold that practice amongst ourselves. So hopefully our kids take it up. Because if they don't take it up, it's going to be exactly what Allah says about Bani Israel. They were cursed. Why? They saw someone doing wrong, and they never used to stop. كَانُوا لَا يَتَنَاهَوْنَ عَن مُنكَرٍ فَعَلُوا. They used to see them, and they wouldn't stop them from the bad. Why? Because they thought our friendships will be compromised. So unko karne do, let them do. You'll see your so-called Sally friend out in the mall without a hijab on, doing something wrong. You even won't have the courage to say it to her. You'll literally hide and run away so she doesn't see that you saw her. If that's the type of relationship that you want to uphold, that customary, you come to my house, I come to your house, and we go out together, and you don't really care for what they're putting themselves into, I think it's a selfish state. It's a very selfish state. Because I don't want to compromise our gatherings and stuff, so I won't ever tell her that I saw her doing something. You don't do that, that's wrong, by not telling her, and nor do you confront her, walk up to her in the middle of the mall and say, "Hey, what are you doing? Should I live stream this?" This is wrong also.
Yeah.
You walk away and you wait for a time when the two of you can sit down, the sooner the better, and you bring it up. Look, we all are humans, we all have our weaknesses, and I saw you that day and I'm just concerned for you because we're so close. And it would be wrong for me to maintain such a close relationship with you and not tell you what I felt is good for you. That's how the conversation goes. And guess what? That's when you test the quality of that relationship. If that relationship is going to last, it will last because of that. And if the relationship is going to break, it's going to break because of what happened before it. And what happened before it was, keep everything hunky-dory, don't go into issues. It's not right. So with relatives also, do the 5 steps, ask Allah for what is best, and give them time to process. Sometimes we rub too much in people's faces. Tell your part, excuse yourself, and give them time to process. They're human beings. They'll figure it out.
I just do one thing. I just send the videos on WhatsApp. Believe me, is good. Because I didn't open my mouth. I just send them the videos for the topic. Any topic, like a birthday topic, like this type of things people doing.
So you're telling them indirectly messages.
Yeah, this is good because if you are saying directly.
So just to let you know, a lot like myself, I never watch any more WhatsApp videos. Can't even watch it anymore.
No, my circle, everybody watch.
That's good.
Yeah.
When you get to a point when there's just too many to watch, you stop watching it. The thing is that it's good you're sending them that message indirectly. But Islam is not about beating around the bush. No, oh Fatima, if you're going to steal, I'm going to cut your hands off. Rasulullah said to his own daughter, radiallahu anha. It's no beating around the bush. The law of Allah is the law of Allah. And I want to make sure that in our relationship, that law isn't compromised. See, religion to us, we don't understand the balance of it. It's like if you consider religion, it means religious. And if you don't fit in that criteria, you're not religious. It's like, our friendships are about growing together. because ultimately your kids are going to grow together. Ultimately, their circles are going to grow somewhat connected to each other. So think about this point. Have we ever set standards in our relationships, in our circles? Was there ever a standard set? Was there ever an outline of what this circle will accomplish? Women get together at coffee shops and stuff. Nowadays, you see our Muslim sisters, and I don't want to see where. I saw Muslim sisters sitting down with beers. Yeah, it's become common. It's happening. They're sitting down over wine and beer and having discussions.
Actually, in America, nothing is bad. This is the problem.
No. Actually, what it is that in America everything is open, yes.
Yeah.
But what's now more concerning is that what our Muslim communities are doing is also very open. I was talking to someone 2 nights ago about one of the biggest crises we're seeing arise in is our children are struggling with their sexual identity. Girls don't want to be boys, boys don't want to be girls. You walk into Sephora's, you'll see more boys now putting on makeup than you'll see girls. And we as Muslims want to say that this is not our problem. So before, those women would be drinking alone somewhere. But now it's become an open thing. I'll drink in public and I don't care who watches me. This is where I'm getting scared. Because everyone commits their sins. Everyone has their flaws. But there was one thing that came with our flaws was called sharam. There's some type of shame. But there's no shame anymore. And so when you do come to a new community, for example, or you join a new circle of friends, you need to ask yourself, like, you don't have to sit there with an agenda and a computer. Okay, what's our friendship's going to be about? Let's talk about it. Let's type it up. Let's do minutes of our meeting. No, it's like, what? You need to gauge. What is this all going to be about? Where is it going to take me? Where is it going to take us? And if it's not going to take us somewhere, then it's not going to take me somewhere. Then what you can do is try to be an incentive, create an incentive for them to get somewhere through this friendship. And if they're not willing to go that way, or they're willing to go the opposite way, then you just move out. Because again, in America, you could do anything. No one's going to tell you, why did you leave my circle? They're not going to, if they block you on WhatsApp, it's not the end of the world. It's fine. The thing is that we need to be very careful because we don't realize these interactions are molding how we think, molding how we act, molding how we become. We don't see that. Just like we're going out there socially, we don't see it's changing us. It's exactly the same concept, flip side, when we come to the masjid. We think that coming to the masjid is changing us. Masjid will not change you. You have to use the tool to change yourself. So just as we think a masjid will change me, we think our social engagements will not change us, when actually it's vice versa. Your social engagements, interactions are actually changing you without you knowing, and you coming to the masjid isn't changing you unless you work towards making it happen. So we're living on 2 opposite spectrums of reality. And so this is important. Yeah, you can send them the message and stuff, but imagine tomorrow. Imagine tomorrow that your friendship becomes the means of you being stopped from Jannah. Because this is a reality, right? We talk about Jannah, Jahannam, and Qiyamah, but this is a reality. And tomorrow, if you're okay to go and your friend, your neighbor, your good friend that you used to hang out with says, Allah, wait. She knew all the wrongs I was doing and she never stopped me, and now I'm going to hell because of those wrongs. Allah, it's only fair she goes to hell with me. She's got a case. She's got a case. Because you were part of allowing her to continue. So it's a very dangerous thing, because when you look at it from a depth, if you look at it from the bottom up, not from the top down, it is scary. And so I was saying in my class in New Jersey this week, and we were doing the holistic class year 2, and we were on Surah Ibrahim we're talking about roots, the roots of a human being. And in that, we're learning about action, reaction. For example, peace is a reaction or a result of an action. Peace isn't an action. Peace, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it's a result of perseverance. Salamun alaykum bima sabartum. Allah saying, peace be on you because of your patience. You endured. So if a Muslim perseveres on their deen, they will get peace in this world and peace in the next. The ayah is referencing peace in the next world, Jannah, but that peace is also something you feel in this world. So if you persevere on what you believe, Allah will give you peace because of your perseverance. So as we were talking about action and reaction, I don't know where I'm going with this. We were talking about Qiyamah, and we were talking about how our inability to stay steadfast on what we believe can compromise us tomorrow. So you are who you are here and outside. We need to stop telling our children, Jill, we're going masjid, dress nice for the masjid. No, you should dress nice everywhere, right? Okay, put the hijab on because it's a masjid now.
But if they are not listening, they are doing like a other side.
But the thing is that what we did is we created a false standard. We created an environment where we taught them dual personality. When the guests come home, this is how you be. But how you be after, that's fine. When we go to a religious gathering, this is how you be. No, be who you are and become who you could be. That's what I love about Ta'leef, Usama Khanan's organization, Ta'leef. Their motto was a seller. It was come as you are to Islam as it is. That is profound. Islam wants you as you are so you can become what you need to become. There's no criteria of who you need to be before Allah shows you something. Come as you are, but be yourself. The authenticity of a Muslim is who they are with the understanding that they're pursuing to become someone better. And so when we take that mission of becoming better and make it into a display, we're tricking ourselves. And when we trick ourselves, we're only harming ourselves. So what the author is pointing towards is be who you are and allow who you are to be your spirit, to become your spiritual state, your mental state, your physical state, your inner state and home, and your external state when you're out, yarhamukallah, within people. So going back to that topic, the people that you are around, yarhamukallah, you choose them. We all choose our circles. May our circles be people who are Allah-fearing friends, who will be true friends, offer sincere advice, will not betray your word or deed. Good friends have a great influence in keeping a Muslim woman on the straight path and helping her to develop good habits and refined characteristics. A good friend, in most cases, mirrors one's behaviors and attitudes. You get along with people who you gel with, and you won't even realize that either they or you are practicing a lifestyle openly or secretly, and that is why you gel with each other. Two peas in a pod, as they say. Two peas in a pod. They're the same. So for example, you're hanging out with a friend who privately listens to the type of music that you publicly listens to. There's a reason why two people gel. There's a reason why two people become friends. So as this author writes, your friendship is a mirror of you. So whoever you become friends with, they are actually a mirror of you. So if you were to see a fault in them, you may have just saw a fault in yourself. If both of you can acknowledge and identify your faults and then work together to uprooting those faults, it takes time. People who drink or have bad habits, it takes time. Give them the time. Give them the energy. Give them the confidence. Give them the support. People will get through. But the thing is, they identify their wrong to be wrong and they're trying to work to fix it. That's the biggest thing. Knowing that you have a wrong is the biggest step towards rectification. Having people around you that help you identify your wrong is the biggest support system that you can have. So this is what we need. And this is beautiful as he wrote. And I'm going to say it again. Who will be true friends and offer sincere advice, will not betray her in word or deed. Good friends have a great influence in keeping a Muslim woman on the straight path and helping her to develop good habits and refined characteristics. A good friend, in most cases, mirrors one's behaviors and attitudes. In a book, Ad'i ibn Zayd al-Ibadi, it is written, do not ask about a man, ask about his friends, for every friend follows his friends. Do not ask about a man, ask about his friends, for every friend follows his friends. Mixing with decent people is an indication of one's good lineage and noble aims in life. By mixing with noble people, you become one of them, so you should never regard anyone else as a friend. The Prophet ﷺ said, what in a hadith? A person will be on the day of judgment with those they love. And in our world, where we love our friends more than we love our family, know that this is a reality. So it is essential to choose good friends as it is to avoid doing evil. The author says, choosing good friends is as important as the effort you put towards avoiding evil. If you mix with people, make friends with the best of them. Do not make friends with the worst of them, lest you become like them. The Muslim woman is keen to attend gatherings where there is discussion of Islam and the greatness of its teachings regarding the individual, family, and society, where those present think of the power of Almighty Allah and His bountiful blessings to His creation, and encourage one another to obey His commandments, heed His prohibitions, and seek refuge with Him. In such gatherings, hearts are softened, souls are purified, and a person's whole being is filled with the joy of faith. So, Abdullah ibn Rawaha, radiallahu anhu, whenever he met one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, he used to say, come, let us believe in our Lord for a while. When the Prophet ﷺ heard about this, he said, may Allah have mercy on Ibn Rawaha, for he loves the gatherings that the angels feel proud to attend. He used to say this, come, let us believe in our Allah for a while. They'd have social gatherings, and there would never be a social gathering, but in it he would have small remembrance of Allah. When the Prophet ﷺ heard about this, he made dua for him. May Allah have mercy on him, for he loves the gatherings that the angels feel proud to attend. Ask yourself, the gatherings that you form, the gatherings that you attend, the gatherings that you make yourself a part of, do you feel the angels are also there? This is a test for ourselves. I'm going to this gathering. I'm going to this concert. Will the angels be there?
No.
The angel of death might be there. No, I'm saying that's a question, right? Because nowadays we're living in an open society. You can't criticize anyone, and everyone loves to talk about the ills that they're doing. And again, there's no shame left on the table. Like if you're talking about you're doing this and you're there doing this, imagine for a moment. And again, you don't have to be super religious for this. Just imagine for a moment. Am I willing to die at that spot at that moment? Ask yourself that question. I'm going to a gathering. 2 questions. Are the angels going to be there? And number 2, if I was to die there, am I willing to die there in that state? That's all. If you're willing to, then go. But if there's something in your heart, ma haka fi nafsik, something in your heart says, nope, I don't think so, it's a sign.
Could be he's not ready or she's not ready to die at that moment. So, she might doubt herself.
100%. No one prepares for their death. How many Muslims are actively preparing for their death? We don't. We talk about it. At least we're talking about it now, but we don't prepare for it. But we've learned from everything that happens, death comes at the most unexpected moments. All those videos online will tell you how people die. There's that video of compilation of people who die in the weirdest moment. A model dies walking on the carpet, or a TV celebrity host is doing an interview and she falls dead. Like that video that's going on WhatsApp, that one scholar was giving a speech and he died while he was giving a speech. We can die any moment. No one prepares for that. It happens. But the thing is, if I was to die there, and if that's too heavy, then what we can tell our children is, wherever you go, ask yourself, if my parents were to see me here at this place at this moment, would I be okay with it? If my parents were to come right now and see me there, are they okay with that? If they can't understand that concept of angels' presence and death, I think there is still some sense of shame that people would go to places that they don't want people talking about. And as I said, unfortunately, now we're telling the whole world our stories, but just be very careful, because at the end of the day, it comes down to Allah and I. And if the Quran says your mother, your father, your husband, your wife, your son, your daughter, your brother, your sister will run from you on the day of judgment, what's the promise your friends are going to stick by your side? They're not. No one's going to stick by your side. And they always say a friend in need is a friend indeed. How many friends are really there for us when we need them? Even for moral support, a phone call, or how are you? No one does it. And we all acknowledge it with a joke. Yeah, I'm calling you today because, I need something. Because our whole society has become matlabi society. It's all about, what I need from you. So if you're willing to succumb to that type of life, that's your prerogative. I can't change, and I can't change it for myself or you. But what I can do is I can opt for myself to be part of such a society, or I can create an alternative society. There's in any part of the world, you'll find people creating an alternative society, an alternative to the reality that has become accepted by the masses. If you're living in a place where everyone wants to party, you'll find people who don't want to party. If you're in a place where everyone's taking drugs, you'll find a group of people who don't want to take drugs. You will find good people everywhere who are the alternative to what the norm is. The question is, do you want to be amongst the norm, or do you want to be the alternative to the norm? You can be either of the two, so longer whatever that is, the norm or the opposite, is actually good for you. And it could only be good for you when you identify yourself, for yourself, what is good for you. How many of us really know what's good for us? How many of us really know what's good for us? How many of us know what's good for my time and my effort and my mental state? Many times the goods we pursue actually make our mental and physical and spiritual state worse. It's called self-inflicted wound. You go into these type of places only to come out more miserable, more depressed, more spiritually declined, more agitated. So what was the benefit? What was the benefit? It doesn't say until... See, what this type of book does, it allows us to start thinking about ourselves, creating a path for ourselves, molding ourselves. If we're not working that, we're actively working against it. Remember the analogy of the grass. You have to tend to the grass every day to take care of it. If you take care of it, you could have a garden or you could have a farm. Both are beneficial. But if you don't want either, or you don't know what you want, just leave it alone. It will destroy itself. Weeds, bugs, snakes, whatever. It will destroy itself. Because you didn't put forth a plan, you allowed it to destroy. If you don't have a plan and a scope and a vision for your life, and you don't have one for your family, and your family doesn't have one for itself, you're allowing it to become weeds. You cannot then complain, but I made this grass. You made the grass, but you never tended to the grass. You did not cultivate that land, plow it, sow the seeds, make fruits, or just cut the grass and put the fertilizer. The question is, what do I want? This is a question we need to start asking after 155 pages. What do I want in life? And if you want it, and if it's good for you, you need to make it happen. You shouldn't let anyone else tell you what you need. It's about time you tell yourselves, what do I want? In that, what do you want, will lead to, inshallah, other people following you in the path of goodness, inshallah. The rightly guided Khalifa, Umar al-Faruq, radiallahu anhu, used to make the effort to take a regular break from his many duties and the burden of his position as a ruler. It's so important to note that even like in Turkey, they make sure that people who are on such a responsibility take the time off to relieve themselves from the burdens of such responsibility. I was told that in Turkey, even the butchers have to take time off every 3-4 months so that they can reflect and refresh from this constant daily cutting meat and blood. They need to get out of this. So all of us as humans need to get out of those zones that we're in for a little while to take a break, and so that we can process and re-enter with gratitude. He would take the hand of 1 or 2 men and say, come on, let's go and increase our faith. So we're going to go out, we're going to go hiking, we're going to go camping, we're going to go for a weekend retreat somewhere, we're going to go get a holiday in somewhere, just go stay. But let's go and increase our faith, right? There's nothing wrong. Go out. Do not make your religion that you shouldn't. Our religion, our Quran, I think 5 times commands us, Siru fil ard, travel the earth. You have to travel the earth. It's a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you don't have to travel expensive. Get in your car and drive up to Oklahoma. Drive halfway to Oklahoma. Get away for the weekend. But then also include in it, while you're mentally refreshing yourself and physically resting yourself, throw in the spiritual element. Because it's going to help all 3. So he would take the hands of the people and say, let's go. Let's get out of here. Let's go increase our faith. And they would go and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even Umar radiallahu anhu, who was so righteous and performed so many acts of worship, felt the need to purify his soul from time to time. He would remove himself for a while from the cares and worries of life to refresh his soul and clean his heart. Likewise, Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu would often say to his companions, when they were walking, let us sit down and believe for a while. We're all walking, we're in the thing. Like even if you're at home or you're having a tea party or whatever else, okay, let's just take 5 minutes and let's remember Allah. Just 5 minutes. You don't have to make it a 2-hour halaqah. Just let's have fun, have food, pray, be modest, talk nice stuff. It's okay, let's 5 minutes, let's talk about Allah. Let's, like as I said, let's believe for a while. Imagine Umar bin Khattab saying, let's believe for a while. That's a strong statement for someone of high caliber to say, let's believe. Well, you're not believing in Allah all this time? You're the Khalifa, you don't believe in Allah? No, he's like, let's actually do this. Let's do this for a while, 5 minutes. Let's sit down from all the running around and let's just believe for a while. So go to the burger store, go to the Chinese restaurant, go somewhere and say, let's sit down and believe for a while. You have food, you have fun, and you also do what's going to help you. Because if you were to get up from these gatherings and feel so grateful for what you have, so grateful for what you are, and you feel guilty that you have more than you deserve, more than you need, and you feel so happy to return back home and to be part of your family again, these are the gatherings you need to be part of. But if it's the opposite, I think everyone else didn't like the dress I wore, or my makeup was too less, or but they said something, was she hinting towards me? I couldn't pray because the dress was so tight. If I prayed, I couldn't make sajda. It's like if you got all these thoughts on you, you're in the wrong circle. I'm sorry, you're in the wrong circle. You're in the wrong circle. You need to snap out. You can't blame them tomorrow. You need to snap out and get into reality. Like, what did I do? You should feel comfortable if that's your circle to walk in your pajamas, for example, modestly dressed, and no one judges you for who you are. Last night, Khatra, what was the hadith I was reading about? Rasulullah gave a story about that woman in Bani Israel. She was short, and everyone else was tall. She was poor, everyone else was rich. So she wore wooden shoes to get height. And then she wore this fake gold ring in which she put musk, so wherever she walked, the scent would go. So she wanted to fit in. The hadith, I had to read it 3-4 times because the story was really distorted in my, I couldn't understand it, unfortunately. It was perfect from the word of Rasulullah. I was distorted in my mind. So I'm trying to read and understand it. It was 2 narrations. And basically, she went out of her way to purchase clothing to fit in, and she would then walk between the tall women. So people could look and say she's part of them. But people would only see the 2 tall women, they wouldn't see her, saying that she still didn't fit in. One brother told me in England, he said this man, he was working for, some factory company, whatever it was in England back in the 60s, 70s. He worked his heart out, And when it came time to retire, his boss said to him, you can shave your beard, you can change your name, but you're still a PAKI and you're a Muslim. So you'll never be one of us. You'll never be one of us. So who do you think you're trying to be? Who you're trying to be for impress? So the Prophet ﷺ then gave a khutbah on this. He got up in the minbar, gave a khutbah, and he said what led to the destruction of Bani Israel was that they were, and I'm summarizing his words, that they were trying to impress and be like others. You know, अरे वो करते हैं, they do it. This starts with internal, then it becomes competition on large scale. Oh, that community does this, that masjid. We don't care. We shouldn't care what another person's house does. We shouldn't care what another masjid does. What are we doing for ourselves? Well, I don't care what other people think. That's good for them, their opinions. If their opinions were valid, it would be in Vogue magazine. It isn't, so it's not. What do I care for myself? I don't care what people think about me. So once you break that system that's culturally rooted in our society, which the Prophet ﷺ said led to the destruction of Bani Israel, I think we could save ourselves, inshallah. It's not rocket science how we save ourselves, but we do have to change the culture of how we function. So again, even Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, Umar bin Khattab, who was the righteous and performed so many acts of worship, felt the need to purify his soul from time to time. He would remove himself. It's important to remove yourself for a while from the cares and worries of your zone, your house, your workplace, or whatever you're doing, to refresh your soul and clean your heart. Likewise, Mu'adh ibn Jabal would say to his companions, radiallahu anhu, that when they were walking, let us sit down. Let's reflect for a while. Let's believe for a while. The Muslim is responsible for strengthening his or her soul and purifying his or her heart. You are responsible for your own. He must always push himself to attain a higher level and guide against slipping down. You know, life is like a game of snakes and ladders. I just love that game because it actually depicts life. It's so hard to get up, and you can hit 99 and that long snake is there and you end up at number 12. It's like, what just happened here? Sliding down in life is so easy. Matter of fact, kids love sliding down, but they hate climbing up. Huh? You won't hear them saying we climbing up, but they'll say we sliding down because that's fun. This part isn't fun because it takes effort. Well, guess what? Life is about climbing to number 100. Can you reach 100? Or are those snakes going to keep on bringing you down? Let's pause for a moment, inshallah, and then we'll finish in 5 minutes, inshallah. Oh. In the Quran, chapter 91, verse 7 to 10, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, by the soul and the proportion and order given to it, and by its enlightenment as to its wrong and its right. Truly he succeeds that purifies it, and he fails that corrupts it. For this ayah, in this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took 11 oaths or 12 oaths. وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا جَلَّاهَا وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَاهَا وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا طَحَاهَا وَالنَّفْسِ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا. 11 oaths. Allah took 11 oaths to make this statement. That means this statement requires a lot of light. That Allah gave proportion to this soul, and by its enlightenment as to what is wrong and right, Allah then says that soul succeeds that purifies itself, and that soul fails that corrupts itself. So the question is, if you're not purifying your soul, then you are by default corrupting it. If you're not cutting the grass, your grass is becoming like a little jungle. It's just destined to happen. I've never seen a piece of grass that's so beautiful in any neighborhood that hasn't never been cut or taken care of. People pay for the water, the sprinkler, the fertilizer, the pest control, the grass cutter, and then you get something good. You invest. And if you were to say, okay, the grass cutter cut in January, let him come back next January, it's not how it works. It's a constant investment. So the Muslim woman is required to choose with care the best friends and attend the best gatherings. So if we start selecting gatherings, people who throw gatherings will start changing those gatherings. Think about how our own religious gatherings have evolved. We realized people love music, so we added music. We realized people wanted entertainment, so we continue to cater to their destruction. But if we show that, no, this isn't the type of gathering that I want to be a part of, then those who want to market something will change their ways for us. See how how were dawats done before? Maybe people were taking out of pots, but then after it came trays, and after you buy these nice little pots or dishes that you can serve from, people changed because they saw this as another way of appealing to people. So we constantly evolve in our social gatherings based on what becomes appealing. The question is, if we define what's appealing, the status quo will change for sure. It doesn't have to be strict religious. As I said, make it fun, but don't take Allah out of it. Make sure the angels are there, and make sure you don't mind dying there if that's the time it comes. I'll end with this last verse of the Quran. And keep your soul content. What did I say? The Muslim woman is required to choose with care the best friends and attend the best gatherings so that she will be in an environment which will increase her faith and taqwa. In chapter 18, verse 28, Allah says, and keep your soul content with those who call on their Lord morning and evening, seeking His face, meaning His pleasure, and let not your eyes pass beyond them, seeking the pomp and glitter of this life, nor obey any whose heart we have permitted to neglect the remembrance of us, one who follows his own desires, whose case has gone beyond all bounds. This verse was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ. وَاصْبِرْ نَفْسَكَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَدَاةِ وَالْعَشِيِّ. O Muhammad ﷺ, keep yourself with people who remember Allah morning and evening. The Prophet ﷺ is being commanded to be careful and meticulous of the gatherings and the people he chooses to be a part of or around. So what about you and I? And the people you hang around, again, it doesn't have to be a display or a show of religion. They just want Allah to be happy. You can go and do something fun and make Allah happy. You can go and do an activity and pack meals for the homeless, and it's fun. We did in the North Texas Food Bank. There was Bank of America and City and Capital One. Like all the companies together, everyone's having fun and everyone's, making these packets. You're trying to please Allah, right? It could be fun. It doesn't have to be in a dark corner of the house type of thing. It could be fun, but you should be trying to please Allah. You should bring smiles on faces. You should alleviate people's tension and stress. Going to these gatherings should make us de-stress, disconnect from our worries. It shouldn't become a worry on our additional worries. It's like, I have to go dawat on Saturday. Obviously, what do I wear? I need to stop eating for a few days so I could fit into that one. And then why is this worry becoming on you? At the time of Rasulullah it was very simple. Come in and eat. And, even during the Khandak, they all came to the house. They ate by 10s and 15s and they walked out. There's not supposed to be so many formalities. So again, let us understand by today's discussion that a part of our spiritual growth and well-being is to ensure that the people we hang around who are a reflection of us make us into who we become. So if we want a good reflection, we look for good people. If we can't find good people, we become those good people. You become the good people, then people will come around you, inshallah. And the more you do, the more blessings Allah will put upon you. The more you will open your house to food and gatherings, the more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless you with more. So it's Allah's blessing. You never lose. But again, do not succumb to the status quo and assume that all of it, because it's a Muslim, because it's halal food, because it's what it is, it's all good for me. Define your good. Define your parameters. Define your goals and make yourself. No one is invested in making you until or unless you're invested in make yourself. May Allah make us all into good people, into spiritual people, into people who pursue His love, to pursue His pleasure, to pursue His happiness, and to do away with our evil ways and our stubborn ways, or the ways that we thought were good and are good. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us with His light in our mind, His light in our eyes, His light in our ears, His light on our tongue, His light in our heart, and His light throughout all of us. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us the best of the best. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullah khairan to all of you for your time and your patience. And inshallah, we will continue this journey next week.